You may remember that Judge Vega forced a jury to deliberate beginning at 3 o'clock in the mornings in that murder trial. Her reason? She had vacation plans. Though some in the legal community suggest Vega is a good jurist who just made a bad decision, the judge defends the all-nighter and continues to set the people's business around her personal schedule.
Record shall reflect that the jury has exited.
The timestamp marks the hour. Deliberations in the murder case of Victor Facoya begin at just before 3 a.m.
Your Honor, it's 2:46 in the morning.
Protests from Facoya's lawyers, Adrian Lobo and Norm Reed, are answered with contempt.
I told counsel that this case had to be done by Thursday, because I'm packing up and leaving town and going on vacation for 2 weeks.
Judge Valerie Vega chastises the attorneys for stretching the 4-week trial to the brink of her 6-week deadline, without any mention of the hours lost to afternoon recesses for her own scheduling conflict. Her daughter's soccer games.
Ours is not the reason why, so we just tried to make it work. We can't say, what are you doing at 2:30 or whatever, because it's not our position to do that.
Records obtained by the ITeam reveal Vega left court around 2 o'clock in the afternoon on 6 occasions during the Facoya trial, a routine that continues despite its fallout. Last month alone, the ITeam found the judge warming the bleachers instead of the bench, not once, not twice, but 5 times. January 4th, 6th, 10th, 12th, and this day, the 26th.
Judge, can you tell us why at 2:45 in the afternoon?
In a written statement, the judge insists she typically works in excess of 40 hours per week, though she offers no explanation for a court calendar that seems to revolve around game day.
Is it okay to leave at 2 o'clock on a regular basis?
State Assemblyman William Horm chairs the Assembly Judiciary Committee. In 2009, lawmakers funded 7 new district court judges to alleviate backlogs in one of the country's busiest courts.
It's okay if they're doing their job, if they're sacrificing the quality of work that they've promised to do to the public, then I would say that they need to reevaluate whether or not they're the right person to sit, in that public office.
Though district court judges earn $160,000 a year, representatives from both the district court and the state Supreme Court explain they don't supervise a judge's day-to-day activities. Vega's court calendar reveals she heard few afternoon proceedings in the month of January, and only one that conflicted with her daughter's soccer schedule.
Family first. I hope and I try to always put my family first. But my wife and my children understand when you're in trial, you're in trial.
Reed and Lobo secured a not guilty verdict for Facoya. Yet their enthusiasm for the outcome remains tempered by their frustration with the process.
I felt bad for the jurors. I felt bad for our client. I mean, it was, a tough situation.
One they fear may repeat itself the next time their client's fate rests in Judge Vega's court.
I know one thing. We're going to present our defense again, even if it is 3 o'clock in the morning.
For additional perspective on Judge Vega's performance, the district court provided us with its most recent caseload statistics. As of early January, Vegas has the lightest caseload among judges who hear both civil and criminal cases. Her case clearance rate, one objective measure of a court's efficiency, is the highest among her peers for civil cases, but near the bottom for her criminal calendar.
Could she face sanctions or discipline?
Well, no word yet on what may be happening with the Nevada Judicial Commission, but we have found in other states, according to the American Judicature Society, that judges in California, Arizona, Florida have been publicly disciplined for behavior similar to this.
Thanks, Colleen.
So one local legal blog is calling this Judge Valerie Vega's revenge, following interviews with the ITeam earlier this month about the case that garnered her so much criticism. 2 public defenders received written orders removing them from Vegas court. Though some suggest the move smacks of retaliation, the chief judge backs Vega's decision, calling it the absolute right thing to do.
He has changed his stories.
The body language on display in District Courtroom 16B speaks volumes, long before attorney Norm Reed finally says what nearly everyone else is thinking.
Your Honor, it's 2:46 in the morning.
Reed's objection to overnight deliberations in his client's murder trial earns him a tongue lashing from Judge Valerie Vega.
And so for you to come in and say, we want more time, there is no more time.
But it's Reed's statements to the ITeam weeks later, along with those of co-counsel Adrian Lobo, that result in their removal from her courtroom. Here's what they said, word for word.
Ours is not the reason why, so we just tried to make it work. We can't say, what are you doing at 2:30 or whatever, because it's not our position to do that. Family first. I hope and I try to always put my family first. But my wife and my children understand when you're in trial, you're in trial.
I felt bad for the jurors. I felt bad for our client. I mean, it was, a tough situation.
I know one thing. We're going to present our defense again, even if it is 3 o'clock in the morning.
Citing, quote, post-Fekoya trial media matters, Judge Vega disqualified herself from all of Reed and Lobo's criminal cases, a total of 17, including 2 that involved the death penalty.
What does post-Fekoya media matters? I mean, what does that mean?
Well, I don't think it's any secret that it refers to your story where they were quoted making statements that could arguably be deemed critical of her.
Though Chief Judge Jennifer Tagliati will not address the actions that prompted 2 ITeam investigations of Judge Vega, Judge Tagliati supports Vega's decision to recuse herself. The Nevada Code of Judicial Conduct, she explains, requires it.
If it can be perceived by anyone, including their clients, that they're being critical of Judge Vega, then at that point, that client has to worry, is my trial judge going to hold that against me? That's not something somebody on trial for their life should have to think about.
Vega's recusal, however, does not come at the request of Reed or Lobo's clients. Instead, according to her written order, it anticipates the appearance of impropriety based on the public defender's statements to the media.
It seems to me that the comments that the attorneys made were fairly measured.
Professor Kate Cruz teaches professional responsibility at UNLV's Boyd School of Law.
I would hope that judicial officials would understand that when attorneys comment to the press on matters of public concern and direct their comments toward the situation rather than personally attacking the judge, that reasonable people looking at that situation wouldn't consider that the judges would retaliate against attorneys for that kind of First Amendment exercise of their First Amendment rights.
Though the public defender stands by his attorneys, he has reassigned Lobo to a different court, based, he explains, on her prior request. Future cases involving Reed, however, remain before Judge Vega, should she decide to hear them.
Thank you, Judge. I appreciate that.
It's unclear at this point whether Judge Vega will continue to recuse herself from every case involving Norm Reed. Judge Tagliati tells me it's Judge Vega's decision to make. Reed and Lobo referred our questions to their boss, Phil Cohn, who tells me he does not plan to challenge Vega's recusal.
Great. Thanks, Colleen.
Thanks, Colleen.